Okay, so in the last slides, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about the domestic affairs under George Washington's presidency. So today we're gonna still look at his presidency, but the foreign policy or the foreign affairs. So that's what the do now is about. Contrary to domestic affairs, what are foreign affairs? Okay, so the first thing that happened was the French Revolution. You'll see that after the American Revolution, a lot of other revolutions were sparked. I don't know, could have like been an inspiration for them, like uh, people see us being liberated from our um, colonizer, and maybe they wanted to do the same. So the French king, Louis XIV, his actions sparked his people to rebel, and in 1789 they decided to write their own constitution for France, and this is what led to what was known as the Reign of Terror. Those people rebelling, their actions started to go more severe, and thousands of nobles were beheaded, including King Louis and his Queen Marie Antoinette. And in 1792, war was declared on France by Britain, Austria, Spain, Netherlands, and Prussia. Those countries kind of saw this as an opportunity, like, hey, a big powerhouse is going down. Why don't we uh, help its people? Um, and and yeah. So this is just a little diagram of what that looks like. As you see right here, as disturbing that is, he's holding someone's head. Um, so American France, there were some mixed feelings from Americans about the Reign of Terror and the French Revolution. So some Americans were pleased that the French people followed their example. They're like, yeah, we were able to inspire people to get their own freedom. Yeah. Some people were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they beheaded all those people for liberty. Like they just didn't see that was necessary. And then some people felt that we should help since they helped us in our revolution. They wanted us to repay the favor. Um, so here's some more things surrounding the United States during this time. Fighting in Europe disrupted American trade, and they tried to draw United States into war. Whenever the United States would go overseas to trade, um, other countries would try to provoke the United States to join their side or try to prohibit them from trading with the enemy. But you know, the United States, they took a stance of neutrality because we were a new nation. We didn't have everything figured out. We weren't ready for another war. So I personally think it was a smart idea, but you could form your own opinion based on what we tell you or what you learn. So sometimes when we were trading, our ships were seized when going to enemy ports, and there was this policy of impressment, which is the British would kidnap our sailors and make them work on their own ships. So even though we decided to remain neutral, that really didn't stand okay with the other countries. Um, so this is just an example of impressment. Like he was probably an American sailor. The British came and they're taking him to work on their ship. So another thing was the Citizen Genet affair. Citizen Genet, he came to the United States. He was like a diplomat, and he wanted United States to honor their military alliance with France. He shared the view with some Americans and was like, well, we helped you, it's time for you to help us. Even though that there wasn't like the United States technically weren't required to. But he went around our country trying to form revolutionary clubs to help disrupt the peace in the United States. But Washington knew that we weren't ready for war. He wanted to keep neutral, so he officially declared it with his neutrality proclamation in 1793. And France defied it. They were not okay with that. They armed um, a captured British ship in Philadelphia, which is way too close to us, um, and sent it after British shipping. So they were still trying to involve us in the war, and Citizen Genet had to be replaced. Um, so Britain seized over 250 U.S. ships with their impressments. Like we said last slide, they supplied Little Turtle and the Native Americans with weapons. They violated the Treaty of Paris because they didn't leave the Ohio River Valley, which was one of the terms of the Treaty of Paris. They were supposed to leave the Ohio River Valley, but they didn't. So they sent John Jay over to Britain to avoid the war. So Jay's treaty, it was a treaty where the British in 1794, the British agreed to leave their stations in Ohio Valley, and the United States agreed to pay back all the debts owed to the British. So John Jay was sent over with um, the order to avoid war. He was ordered to remain neutral by Washington. So he was successful. He avoided war for us. We didn't have to go fight the British. So he was like, you know what, that's a good idea. But other people have different ideas. As you can see, people were so furious with this treaty that they started burning effigies or dolls of John Jay around in the streets. So there were issues with it. It didn't stop British impressments. They were still stealing our men. It said nothing about giving the Native Americans guns and seizing the ships. And it was the same exact terms of the Treaty of Paris. How do we expect the British to honor this treaty when they couldn't even honor a previous treaty with the same exact terms? So it was saw as selling out, but it still prevented American war and increased American shipping and trade. And then a separate thing was Pinckney's Treaty. Spain saw that um, we created a treaty with the British, and they just joined France, so they wanted us to be okay. So, um, or us to be on good terms with them. So that led to Pinckney's Treaty, which readjusted the U.S. southern boundary with Florida as the 31st parallel. But the important parts were the U.S. navigation rights on the Mississippi River, which is important, and the right to deposit or house goods at New Orleans, which is important because they could use that as a transportation system to get goods into the Ohio River Valley. So next we'll be talking about John Adams and his presidency. So tune in then.